Hello and welcome to a Buggy Boy from Title, an arcade conversion done by Elite Systems, and I've been covering quite a few kind of conversions from Elite. Thankfully, they did a decent job in most of the cases. In Buggy Boy, you have the option to drive on 5 different tracks, and it's basically a score chaser. Our driving mechanics very similar to hundreds of other games where you have a high and a low gear and you have a timer to beat. And on the off-road stage, which is an enclosed track, you do laps, and don't worry about me, I just play extremely poorly. Surprise, surprise. I will be upfront, honest, and say that I could have done a lot more out of making a better, or making some better footage for this game. But to be honest, I usually give some sort of conclusion towards the end. But I will happily give my conclusion right now by saying that I find this game exceedingly dull, tedious, repetitive, and not very exciting. So with that out of the way, I have now given my reasons for why I haven't put up a better gameplay. So, sue me. The thing is though, I don't know the original source material. I have never seen Buggy Boy in the well, I might have seen it, but I've never played the arcade version of Buggy Boy, so I don't have any reference to go by. But I would assume it's probably been one of those stand-up cabinets, maybe even having a sit-down cabinet with steering wheel, and all those funky extras that made arcade games an experience in many cases compared to home computer versions, because of course back then having a steering wheel was not something that was, it was probably considered by some smart people, but for some reason deemed impractical. Regardless, in Buggy Boy you drive around either on the off-road track or for other themed courses where your objective is to get through the different stages before you run out of time. Very simple, and in the case of Buggy Boy it's far too simple. The game has a lot of personality, I will give it that. I do like the graphics and the individual sounds and jingles and all sorts of things, but it's just plain. It's so plain, it's painful. I mean, I don't know what I expect from a game like this, but the fact that you occasionally see a car on certain stages, and it usually drives out on the left side of the screen, so it doesn't pose any type of challenge in any way, shape or form. You're basically just driving against the course, and you could argue that a game called Buggy Boy could be some sort of reference to some sort of rally driving, but I love rally driving games. I will like racing against the clock on some extremely demanding stages that require that you push your car and yourself to the fullest in order to get the best possible times, but you're still competing with others. Well, not directly, you're competing against that time, and there's just no sense of accomplishment in this game. You get a high score, which I suppose at the time was the benchmark, especially in the arcades where you had maybe thousands of people playing the same game, and if you could get your name on the high score list, that was super amazing. But the home computer versions, it didn't really do anything. I mean, most games of the time didn't have any high score saving options, so you couldn't even show your mates that brilliant game you had where you scored 10 billion points or something. I mean, it was just, they had to take it on faith that you said you'd done it. And I don't want to make 4-minute long videos if I can avoid it. Sometimes I feel I have to because there's just not enough to cover, or for other reasons, but From a technical point of view, it's a nice looking game. I enjoy the graphics of the game. Bit coarse, perhaps. As I said before, I quite enjoy the jingles and all that good stuff, and the responsiveness of the Buggy is a bit floaty, but not something you can't live with. There's just no substance. I mean, if you are the type who likes competing against a timer, avoiding walls, boulders, and not driving into water, then it could be a very enjoyable experience. But to be honest, I mean, I'm sure it's a very brilliant conversion, and I mean, you can't fault it technically. It's just not very exciting. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do find it somewhat enjoyable, but it just... A lot of these old games, I think, suffer from the fact that when they came out, they were unique. You had not necessarily seen it before. And of course, 20, 30 years down the line, you've seen thousands of games very similar to this, and that sort of makes the novelty fizzle a bit, which is, I suppose, an unfair... It gives an unfair assessment. But it is very, very hard to take a game like Buggy Boy and look at it with fresh eyes and say, okay, I have never played anything even remotely similar to this game before. Outrun, a similar concept, at least you had traffic to deal with. Technically an inferior game, but in all honesty, much more exciting to play. Elite, I'd say, made arcade conversions that were decent, unlike other companies I could mention. But for me, this is an early example of what I've insisted on years later. Decent sound and decent graphics doesn't make up for poor or lacking gameplay. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking the guys behind it, or girls for that matter. It's just not very exciting, and I do apologize for harping on about that, but yeah, meh, sadly. And on that cheerful note, I'm going to say thanks for watching, take care, and see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.